A story we didn't really get time to get to because we were dealing with Waitangi Tribunal and legal training, compulsory tikanga training for lawyers this week. I know we mentioned it in passing. And that is the bill, the members' bill that Winston Peters has put in the cake tin or the biscuit tin at the Parliamentary Library, which might potentially be drawn out of the members' bill ballot at some stage in the future. A bill that proposes that we codify in law who can use which gendered toilets, which might have been 5 or 10 years ago a very silly idea. But given the culture war or the discussion over this that, for example, Christopher Luxon doesn't want to engage in, actually, it's not the craziest thing that's ever been proposed by a politician. It is, however, at present just a hypothetical because the bill hasn't been drawn from the ballot. But, of course, there were all sorts of accusations about how this was anti-trans or anti-LGBTQI. But what did the public really think? Well, one organisation decided to find out, so they did a poll, and that organisation, its head, Bob McCoskrie from Family First, joins us now. Bob, what a great idea. Instead of just saying what you think people think, you go and find out what people do think. That's a bit novel.
Morning, Sean. Actually, we do it quite a lot. We use courier market research, and we're always keen to find out just where the public stand on a lot of these issues. And actually, in virtually every case, we've found that they've been on our side, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah. So, Bob, what are the results of your survey on public attitudes to what is now being called the bathroom bill?
Well, just for the benefit of your listeners, just to remind them, the bill's been put in. It's a private member's bill. Yeah, Winston fronted it, but it's been put in by New Zealand First MP Tanya Unkovic, a new MP, because Winston can't do it as a cabinet minister. And it basically has two provisions. The first is that for any new public toilets, it has to have a male and a female, and for those who can't figure it out, a unisex toilet. That's basically it. And if you then ignore the unisex toilet and still use a toilet not of your designated biological sex, you get a $2,000 fine. Winston put out a very good tweet to sum it up, where he said it's not difficult. Men's toilets for men, women's toilets for women. If you want to use a unisex toilet, you can. P.S. Mr. Hitkins, woman equals adult human female. And so we thought we would poll. So, look, it's just those two basic things. Now, for example, Sean...
So what was the question you asked, Bob?
Well, the question was, for those two aspects, do you support or oppose them? So do you support the building code to have male, female and unisex, and do you support a fine of $2,000? And the response was 2-to-1 support. It was 56% said, yes, we support it. Only 26%, 1 in 4 were opposed, and 18% either didn't respond or were unsure. So, and interestingly, support...
So it was one big question.
No, there was one more, but let me just one important qualifier. Majority support came from people no matter what party they voted for. Even Green and Labour voters had majority support.
So that was a universal, evenly distributed result. I hear you. Yeah.
Yep. And then the even people in Wellington agreed with it. So there's a lot of TERFs down in Wellington. Sean, I'm shocked. And the second point we asked is, do you support the second provision, which was the $2,000 fine if you still go and, if a man wanting to be a woman goes into the woman's toilet. Interestingly enough, a third, 35%, backed that, but 46% opposed it, and maybe that's because of the size of the fine.
Well, we don't know because we haven't got a survey on that, but that's interesting. The idea, the concept that Sheila's toilets are for Sheila's, blokes' toilets are for blokes, and unisex are for everyone. Because it's such a universal truth, I've got to say I'm not surprised at the result. I would say a $2,000 spot fine for getting caught short and maybe using the Sheilas seems a bit steep to me. I'm not sure I would have said that was a good idea.
No, well, the interesting thing I was thinking about is there a fine if you sneak into the disabled toilet because you're sick of waiting, which I think probably lots of people
good
have done.
point. Good point, those
Or
toilets,
the family
big
and
ones,
babies one.
with the wheelchair graphic on it.
Yeah. I mean, like you said at the beginning, in the good old days, we didn't need laws to point out biological distinction. Men and women could figure it out, but now we need politicians to sort it out. And the problem is that the media have been misrepresenting it. Your local, the Post.
Yeah.
Basically, I've explained the law to you.
Yeah.
This was their heading. Winston wants to ban unisex toilets.
Which is not what I was... Oh, God. God, that was just incorrigible, lie. Bob. Now, Bob, are you coming down to Wellington this weekend for this conference?
Oh, absolutely. Wouldn't miss it. Gosh, it's I can barely sleep.
All right. Well, the news today is that Te Papa, though clearly quite reluctantly, aren't going to ban the conference. You're going to be able to hold it in, well, I don't know what the Maori name is, in the new Wellington Convention Centre. So that's all go. But they have announced this morning they're going to fly some LGBTQI, pink, blue, green, whatever flag from Te Papa to support trans people in response to the event, which seems incredibly political for a cultural institution to do. It's like they're taking against you and it's none of their friggin' business, is it?
Well, the good news is that all the speakers won't have a problem with that. They can do that. We won't need a safe space or counselling. If they want to express themselves, that's called free speech and that's a healthy country. So, all power to them.
Well, Bob, I don't know. I just was on the radio talking about an experience I had yesterday. I went to the 76th anniversary of the creation of the State of Israel. I went to a reception for that yesterday afternoon on the terrace in Wellington. And as I left, there were protesters there, and I support their right to protest, even if they are morons. They didn't. They got in my face. So I sat down and I was surrounded by people very close to me chanting F off Sean and blood on your hands. And I must admit, I quietly lit a cigarette and smiled at them, at which stage I was surrounded by police who told me I had to move on.
Yeah.
Because I was making the police's job difficult. And I would have thought their job was to stop. Honestly, they were in some sort of weird frenzied morons interfering with peaceful citizens going about their business in a public place. So I'm saying you might have trouble on Saturday.
Well, I actually
tweeted the same
this
people. You've got to realise they are exactly the same protesters.
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted this during the week. I said that when Wellington were threatening to... Wellington councillors wanted to, close it down in Te Papa, I said, look, we don't bring loudspeakers, we don't bring loud sirens, we don't threaten or intimidate, we don't try and shut down meetings, we challenge ideas and ideologies with researched and reasoned debate. So who is attacking whom? Wellington councillors. Who's denying the right to free speech? And this is the incredible hypocrisy of it's not only of council, but it's also of policing, where for some reason they want to protect actually the aggressor.